President Bola Tinubu's special advisor on energy, Olu Verhergen, has clarified her statement on the imminent 65% electricity tariff hike in Nigeria. Now, she made this clarification in a statement on Monday. This comes after the presidential aide barely 24 hours ago hinted that Nigerians should expect a fresh electricity tariff hike within months. Her statement had sparked a reaction among Nigerians. Meanwhile, the special advisor, in a fresh statement, clarified that the country's current tariff covers about 65% of the actual cost of supplying electricity. According to her, the federal government is still paying 200 billion naira on electricity subsidies. She, however, said 25% wealthiest Nigerians receive the biggest share of electricity subsidies. And now to discuss this further, we're joined by business and public policy analyst Kenneth Ikenwa. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have you on. Let's just really talk about, the potential long-term economic effects. Now, she said that, she's clarified her statement, but what could be a potential long-term economic effects of increasing electricity tariff on industrial and even residential consumers in the country? Given just about a year ago, we just saw a hike.
All right, before I think we should visit the subject matter, it's important that we look at the major catalyst that has led to all of this information, which is now falling between the ambit of misinformation and disinformation. I said this, I didn't say this is what I meant, and this is what I didn't mean. It is important that those who speak and those who advise people in government should speak clearly and should be very sensitive, to the national sentiments and the emotions of the Nigerian people as we stand. I wouldn't say this is the worst of the times that we're living in, but I would say that for people to just go out, whether within or out of the country, to make statements that could catalyze some form of social or emotional mental unrest, I think that is not fair. It's not just enough to come on board to clarify the statement. I think Nigerians deserve an apology. All right, back to the subject matter. At this point in time, I don't understand the direction that the economy is going in. I would have thought that when this government came on board, it came with a populist agenda. But even from the clarification of the statement made by the special advisor, you can see that some 25% of Nigerians are the ones benefiting from this subsidy in the energy sector, which means that there is an undisguised macroeconomic elitist agenda as against what was spoken in 2023 as a pronounced macroeconomic populist people-centered agenda. Now, where this becomes the case with respect to the energy sector and this increase in tariffs, what we will see again is that the inflation rate, which is almost hitting some 40%, may be hitting the rocks of about 45 to 50%. Because if you increase these tariffs, if you increase these taxes, I see them as taxes on Nigerians or on businesses, these prices and these tariffs will be transferred to prices of goods and services that ordinary Nigerians cannot even afford for now, and that will inflate the economy. On the other hand, this disturbs the progressive activities that are economic related. It means that the activities that are supposed to boost the economy in terms of production and consumption will be reduced, and we will continue to rely on deficit funding rather than on organic funding of the economy to drive the economy in the path of growth. The third thing for me that bothers me the most is the fact that we don't really get the transparency with respect to the data that we actually need. At one point in time, a government agency can come out and say this, another point in time, some analyst is saying something else. So we must aggregate the issues and put the people at the center and see to it that Nigerians do not suffer more than they've had to suffer in the last 2 years. And I hope that not just a clarification of this statement is important, but proper action is put into play so that Nigerians can at least benefit something from this current government.
And how do electricity tariff increases typically affect the broader economy, particularly sectors that are reliant on energy-intensive processes?
All right. For the most part, where energy and where electricity is being provided for, let's say, take for instance, manufacturing sector, and it's quite expensive, and where they also have to seek for or source for energy for energy to run their processes and run their operations on their own, these humongous costs are passed on to the society. Now, it's not just in terms of inflation. There are other costs that comes with it, other forms of taxation, like Peruvian taxation, other network externalities that Nigerian people have to suffer. Now, this definitely negates what I would normally call the Pareto principle, where policies are supposed to be targeted at 80% of the public, 80% of the populace, and they should be shaped and implemented in such a way that they benefit them. Now, where the subsidies are removed, or where we're even having a controversy with respect to whether they are subsidies or whether they're not subsidies, and whether the subsidy is 200 billion or whether it is less than that, it is not good for any economy when there is no clarity with respect to how subsidies are actually given out or how resources are actually, allocated in particular sectors. So it is still, there's still an air of confusion. There's still an air of lack of transparency over the issue. And so as I speak, we can't actually say this is this or this is that. But I hope that within the next few days, we can get a clearer air and know the direction that we're going with respect to electricity tariffs and the energy sector in our country.
Now, should the government consider incentivizing? I mean, they have done this. They said there's going to be a tax waiver in some sense, or even a reduction with tax when it comes to renewable energy adoption for consumers as a counterbalance to rising electricity prices. Do you see this Do you see the implementation of it going smoothly, so to speak? And do you even see the adoption of renewable energy?
Yeah, that in fact is the way to go. I mean, the world is moving away from the regular sources of energy now and diversifying.
Not Trump.
Sources. And I'm expecting that with the abundance of maybe wind, with the abundance of sun, with the abundance of biofuel that we have in this country, we should be able to diversify our energy base. Now, the basics, the major document that actually empowers the Nigerian economy to go in the direction of, diversifying the energy sector and going after renewables and empowering people to also acquire renewables, disseminating necessary information, necessary architecture and infrastructure for that purpose, is the Electricity Act, the new Electricity Act 2023. Now, I am yet to see how that act is supposed to be implemented. Because if well implemented, we will have more competition in the energy sector, in the electricity generation, distribution subsector. When we can achieve that, which means individuals can actually build small power plants of minimum of 1 megawatt, which does not cost. If it's a solar power plant, above $1 million. If it's a gas-fueled power plant, between $1 million to $1.5 million. And if it's a coal-fueled gas plant, between $1.5 to $2 billion to $2.5 billion. These things can be affordable. Loans can be given to individuals to do this. We also hope that the states will take the initiative to start, going in the direction that the New Electricity Act actually gives them, to take charge of electricity, take charge of energy in their states, and begin to generate and possibly distribute. So I think that we are not making the best use of the act, and we are not driving innovation in the sector. We're not driving collaboration in the sector. If you say it again, I will ring the bell again and again. Renewables are the way to go. It is more sustainable, it is more conserving of the environment, and it definitely will be cost effective and most likely cost reflective for the Nigerian people. Renewable energy is the way to go.
Well, I wanted to say everyone thinks of it that way except for one person, and that's the President of the United States of America. But again, what do I know? Kenneth, many thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you for coming on. Kenneth Ikenwa there, a public affairs analyst, just giving us a bit of insight on a possible electricity tariff.